My name's Ryan Essenburg, and I'm a third-generation car washer, about 20 years, or a little over 20 years personally into a 50-year journey of our company so far, and grateful to be a part of this great industry. I'm co-founder and president of Tommy Car Wash Systems, which is a global equipment manufacturer, and Tommy's Express, which is a 110-location car wash brand. Today I'm going to share with you a little bit about the road ahead and hopes to share and give you guys an advantage by anticipating what's to come in the industry. Some of the content I'm going to share with you today is protected by copyrights, trademarks, and patents. Just be aware of that, patented building design, as well as some trademarks on our branding and such. And a fun fact, we're going to be the first company to wash cars on Mars. We're committed to that, so water's scarce, but the lower gravity will be helpful in a few areas. So. This session is part of a series called Fundamentals of Express Car Wash Success. You can find previous years on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/TommyWash. In 2016, we shared with you how we washed over 400,000 cars a year. Today, that same store is over 600,000 cars and one of the top in the world, if not the top in the world. In 2017, we talked about why belts, brands, and buildings had a competitive advantage. In 2018, we showed you how blue ocean market opportunities were all over the country. You just had to hunt for them and not compete in the bloodbath markets. And in 2019, we proved the significant advantage that franchises have, a competitive advantage over others. In 2020, I don't think really much of anything happened. And last year, we shared with you how new car wash developments had an advantage, and I'll share a little bit more of that today. Today, I'm going to share with you mostly about how to increase your returns on investment using some of these systems. I'm going to go really fast so I can try to leave some Q&A time at the end. So I will move fast. Here's a little bit of a introduction of what a conveyorized tunnel car wash is for those of you that are not familiar or new to the industry. This is where it's an automated long tunnel. Cars move through it from one end to the other in a process like an assembly line. It's lower labor, and I'll go into that more. I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour of that facility a second so that you can fully understand how one of these car wash models works.
Welcome to Tommy's Express. At the entrance of every location, customers are attracted to the iconic building that allows a full view of all of the activities inside the wash and promises an enjoyable customer experience. 3 lanes minimize long lines, serving cash customers, auto teller customers, and exclusive Wash Club members. A gentle left turn, the easiest for drivers to navigate accurately, brings customers to an inviting entrance and an easy self-load onto a gentle belt conveyor.
Hi, welcome to Tommy's Express. Absolutely.
The flight deck is at the heart of this highly efficient operation. From one position, the cashier can greet customers, monitor all incoming traffic, and control stacking. A second team member can view the entire wash process from door to door. He can evaluate potential issues, control loading density, and has easy fingertip control of all processes and management applications. Located above the flight deck is a suite with a bird's eye view of the entire wash that provides for an office or training facility. The bright stainless steel pods enhance the customer's experience with an interesting kind of peek behind the curtain moment. The pod system allows for precise control of detergent applications at every point in the wash by placing the tanks and controls in the bay instead of a traditional back room. The equipment in all Tommy's Express models is stainless steel, providing for long-lasting, reliable operation and an easy-to-maintain appearance. The downstairs of the minimal back room is home only to electrical control systems and efficient high-pressure pumps. The upstairs provides a loft for building climate control, snowmelt, and water reclaim and filtering equipment. The storage room, designed with both indoor and outdoor access, provides a place for all site-essential maintenance equipment and supplies. Finally, the blower room utilizes an array of high-velocity blowers, 1 million BTUs of heated forced air, and reverse spinning brushes to deliver an exceptionally dry vehicle. Vacuums are always designed into Tommy's Express with dual hoses and an efficient semi-central producer system. Also provided is pole-mounted vending of interior detailing supplies. Tommy's Express, an excellent investment in a growing industry. Franchise opportunities are available for qualified investors. Visit www.tommys-express.com to start your journey.
So that gives you a little bit of a feel of what the model that we're going to talk a little bit about today is, express conveyorized tunnel systems. I want to zoom out and talk a little bit more about the industry itself and why this is one of the best industries, I believe, in existence today. It starts with low labor, high automation, which does mean high upfront cost, but it means a much better business in the long run, having a low labor business model. No perishables, no food involved is a great luxury. We found ourselves pretty COVID resistant. That was a nice blessing. Being in the cleaning business was the right time and place. We find ourselves, we believe, to be Amazon proof and no external disruption ahead, and even a 10x potential increase in wash volume I'll talk more about later. I believe this model, this particularly, is one of the best business opportunities on the planet today because it's an app-based business, but it's combined with brick and mortar retail assets, and it's also in the service business and has reoccurring revenue as part of that model, and very few businesses can say that today. So I want to talk about a few advantages that all of you have investing today and why you're in the right place at the right time. I'll quickly go through these 5 key reasons. If you're a current car wash operator, this is for you as well. You need to think about the next decade and the next 5 years and what you're going to do and how you can continue to grow and invest in the industry. So all this leaves opportunity for you if you're aware and anticipating what's to come. The first thing that we've seen in the last few years, I call a technological leap. It's when technology advanced so fast, it really obsoleted a lot of existing car washes. In-bay automatics, for example, rollover car washes are on every corner at every gas station. They used to wash 8 cars an hour. Today we can wash 50 cars an hour in a short tunnel system in the same amount of space. Energy and water efficiency have been transformational. Today we use 50% less water than we did 10 years ago to wash the car. Unlimited clubs have transformed the industry. Sometimes not always possible. We have multi-lane payment systems like McDonald's. That's not always doable at old car washes to add those required lanes in. Washing automation technologies reduce labor expenses at new car washes today with no people required in washing the car. And new innovations in club member and point of sale technology and this cloud systems, as you see, iPad-based systems with no hardware have really disrupted a huge industry of point of sale technology. Belt conveyors, which we pioneered and invented in the early 2000s, are really widespread today, the standard, and they're very difficult to convert to from an old location. We've done it, we can share how that works, but it takes about 45 days of downtime and it's very expensive. So it plays a little bit of an advantage for new car washes today. These existing car washes that haven't upgraded leave really an opportunity that you guys can capitalize on. The second advantage investing today, and really again anticipating and understanding what's happening, I'll share with you how you can leverage it, but consolidation. We all know that consolidation is happening very rapidly in our industry, and at times can leave older independent car washes behind. So these are existing smaller chains, and this is a case study I'll show you that is a city of 600,000 people. It's a mid-sized town in the United States. In the last 6 years, it transformed from being small independent car washes to looking like this. 2 brands make up almost the entire car wash structure of the city. 15 Mr. car washes and 5 Tommy's Express car washes, with 7 more Tommy's Express in development and 1 more Mr. in development. So virtually all the car washes have been replaced and consolidated by the 2 largest chains. This is going to happen eventually in most cities worldwide, and you need to anticipate this. It's a natural transition of many industries, and you can be on the right side of it. We have some challenges for these consolidators that are doing this. Groups trying to consolidate car washes and bolt them together is nothing new. It's a little bit of an uphill battle for several reasons. I wanted to demonstrate that and the point of failure that, again, plays to an advantage to you, but their struggle is trying to create a brand. This is 2 car washes in the same city. It didn't take me but 3 minutes to find this example on Google Maps. It's the same brand in the same city across town from each other. One has a red roof with blue vacuums, one has a blue roof with red vacuums. Pretty difficult to create a brand. Those aren't very easy elements to change. It's not just about the color of the facility. guest experience, equipment, traffic flow could be assumed, all the same problems when you're trying to bolt car washes together. So I really believe, all the major successful brands in the world believe in consistency as one of their top core values, and it's almost impossible to ever create that in the eyes of the consumer. From Chick-fil-A to Southwest Airlines, they believe in consistency, and they're not creating that today with these consolidation strategies by bringing mom and pop car washes together. In most cases as well, and sometimes in their desperation to grow fast, they've associated their names with very old dated car wash technology. So they don't always have the best brand right out the gate when these firms are coming in just trying to bolt together old car wash. And it really plays another advantage to you guys' opportunity today for ground up developments and growing with that. So the fourth advantage that everybody has and most people will share with you is that there truly is underserved markets. There's areas where there's heavy competition, but there truly is underserved markets around the country. You can go back and listen to my Blue Ocean strategy talk. But one of our secrets to success in Michigan has been what we call critical density, and it's this theory of building sites closer to each other so they complement each other rather than compete with each other. In our hometown, we have 4 locations shown here in red. Pins all land within a 2-mile radius of each other if you drew a circle around them, a 4-mile diameter. We're building a few new locations we're working on in pink, and when it's all said and done, we will have the same amount of locations as McDonald's does in our hometown with a ratio of 1 store for every 20,000 people. Now, Mister's also building a location in this town. So in most of the country, previously, smaller chains have not built out the markets to this density to serve the customers, and it would take really thousands of new car washes today to fulfill the needs to this same standard we've proven. And all leaves opportunities for you. And in addition, I'll prove it one more way with this story. Don't focus on the graph to start, but on the top right corner, you see a satellite image. This is essentially one intersection and one of our corporate stores here, but the story starts with a very old dated car wash that was at this intersection. It's the top left pin. And this car wash was, the community had already accepted it's seen better days and it's time to move on. Well, we came in and built a Tommy's Express, and this was really an open market. On the bottom right pin, today those 2 locations are about a 3-wood apart from each other. While we were under construction, Mister came in and bought the very old dated car wash to the northwest of this location. They did a renovation job on it, but what's fascinating is the end result. This graph shows our volume against Mister's volume today. Our volume at this location just shy of 30,000 cars a month. And it can be assumed that the Mister's probably doing close to 20,000 cars a month. So 5 years ago, this intersection that had an old tired car wash on it was probably doing 5,000 to 10,000 cars a month if I had to guess. And today it could be assumed by this data that at the same intersection, working collectively essentially with Mister, we've created a 50,000 or close to 50,000 cars per month being washed at the same intersection. So it's fascinating by what reinvesting, and serving the market can do in terms of frequency and the ability to grow that. The last opportunity is really understanding what, what some of this we call hot money getting into the industry is doing and how you can avoid doing the same thing. Unfortunately, they kind of wreck great opportunities sometimes, and I do believe that a lot of money is going to be lost in the industry. We're also seeing a lot of money being made in the industry, but there's misguided investment today. So a few reasons. I think, experienced car wash operators know these things, and I would say some of these groups coming in buying sites are misvaluing the locations today. They're not asking, probably I think the most important question is, what's the model year? We're in the depreciation business. We sell depreciation, wear and tear on car washes. And so really, if you think about revenue, it goes up usually from day one, continues to grow, and the value depreciation is going to go down, and they are looking at the valuations based on only one line on that graph. Imagine if you had to pay for a 1995 car the same as you paid for a 2022 car. That would be pure insanity, right? And that's kind of what's happening today. Secondly, uneducated investors are building really obsolete models and not realizing it. In the eyes of the consumer, it's vastly different. And you can ask customers and test this for yourself, particularly ask your spouses, and they will tell you that there's a big difference and experience from loading on a chain and roller conveyor to a belt conveyor and all these types of things throughout that make new models today better. And I hear it all the time from consumers traveling the country. People will say, there's nothing like what you guys do near me. Okay, we're sorry, we're working on it. So, you know, in the 1960s, imagine you're there and there's diners from coast to coast, and that was the standard model. And then things changed. They bring fast food on the scene, and all of a sudden fast food is the hot new craze. But basically what's happening is the money is flowing in so fast that the people investing don't realize that fast food was the craze. Instead, they just heard that the food industry is booming. Let's get in on it. So they went out and built more diners and not realizing the difference. And that's exactly what's happening today. By understanding those, you can have an advantage. I want to share 10 tips for maximizing returns today. Number one is focus on the masses. You know, a friend of mine in the industry built a motorcycle wash. It was fantastic. It was really cool. He was proud of it. And after he ran it for a couple of years, he said, Ryan, go look at the street and look at the cars driving by. Not many of them are motorcycles. And so today, you know, it sounds cool, Amazon vehicles, let's go wash those, whatever. We care about the 99.9%, which is truly the masses today, and build a model that caters to them without being distracted. Number two, I'd suggest you leverage a platform. A platform is like starting on third base, giving you tips and tricks and a head start. There's no reason not to start on third base when you have that opportunity. Also like that, don't reinvent proven processes. You know, some people say there's more than one way to skin a cat. That can be very deceiving and distracting as well, because there are things that are scientifically proven, tested, experiments that have been conducted. Why reinvent the wheel? We all say don't reinvent the wheel. Why do some people still try to do it and piece together fragments to make a solution when you can start with a complete process? Number four, lease when necessary. Leasing used to be maybe a bad thing. Don't do it, avoid it, I want to own everything. There's a reason the top retailers today lease most of their properties. They can grow faster, and if you do the math on that, if you own more cash registers and you sell the land off to a real estate investor who settles for a lower rate of return on that, you can grow faster and your returns will actually be better in the long run, and you take that and reinvest it in more stores and own more cash registers, and that's what a lot of people are doing today. Hire top performers, we all know that, of course, but if you do the math on hiring fewer great people versus a lot of underqualified people, you'll come out ahead when you hire fewer and greater people at a higher standard. Number six, invest in 10x returns. What that means is when we make decisions on an equipment package or what we're going to invest in, when we have something that's anything close to a 10-year return, it's an always for us. If something's going to have a 9-year payback, we do that, yes, absolutely must do it. We don't look at how to make it cheaper because money flows to returns. And there's a lot of money out there today. It's pretty easy to get money when you have available, you know, to be able to show returns and a track record. The money's easy and it gravitates toward that. So we make those types of decisions. Number seven, invest in expensive land. I know everybody's going to gasp, oh my gosh, but you know, buying cheap land is the riskiest thing that you can do. You think it might give you an advantage. It's the opposite. Cheap land is the riskiest. You're putting a valuable asset on it. You don't want to put it on a cheap piece of land. And price usually correlates to success. So if you want to be the most successful and you want to get the best returns, in theory, you should go out and buy the most expensive land you can buy. That's a price you only pay once. You don't have to pay forever. You put your beautiful car wash asset on it and you're more successful, and at the end of the day you have higher returns and you have a safer investment, because when you buy cheap land, somebody else is going to go buy the good land. Number eight, don't be distracted. It's easy to get distracted, particularly by customers. I've seen a lot of people really mess up their business because a loud minority in their ear and they forgot about the silent majority. And so sometimes somebody says, oh, I want you to wipe down my console, and all of a sudden the owner goes, okay, we're going to start doing that. And all of a sudden you forget about the people that you were serving, and it happens very easy. Franchise actually partly having an accountability partner as a team to keep us all on track. And number nine, scale fast. In hindsight, we sure wish we would have built a lot more washes earlier. We don't have to look back 5 years from now and say the same thing. We can fix that today and move forward knowing and anticipating the future. Number 10, process fast. One of our secrets to success has been processing cars very fast. I'll talk more about that later. But people will make a conscious decision to come to your car wash when you're processing fast. When you're at the show and searching around, you should look for an integrated platform, really a full platform provider. You're making a selection that encompasses far more than equipment. And, Richard Enning, the president of ICA, a few years ago had a keynote presentation. He talked about, would you pick an airline that you're going to fly on based on if they fly Airbus or Boeing jets? It doesn't really matter. It's not something you think about, but you think about their service, their experience, and the quality of service they have. So, the rest of that formula of building a great car wash can often mean more than the equipment. And if you had to compare Chick-fil-A to Burger King, if they use the same dishwashers, it doesn't really matter. It's not part of their key experience, or Quick Trip versus other gas stations if they have the same gas pumps. So a platform system should help with things like civil engineering, site design. A bad civil design can destroy a car wash before the day it opens. We've also realized that architectural is incredibly important, from doors to windows and everything in between. And then you really need a system that is equipment, controls, and chemistry, all as a proven system. They all do work together, and you're going to hear that from most people here at the show. Wash quality shouldn't be guesswork of having to hope to get the right components and make them all work together. That can be proven, it can be shown to you, and it's a system, and it all works in unity, and everybody's going to tell you that. It's important that you execute on that. And then there's operations, training, and branding, an important part as well of the entire business. So, for each wash that you build, the details matter, and they matter a lot. There's ability to get those answers as a system. The nationwide network today, our business has really been exceptional because we think about it as a network, not as locations. A network brings people together in all walks of life through common experiences. And we're a network of vehicles, a network of consumers, and a network of people. And this chart on the right shows a sampling of our crossover washing activity from location to location around the country. It's exceeded my expectations. We knew it was going to be very valuable. In some markets, at long distance markets, as high as 15% crossing over. I'm sure some of the larger chains in the country see this and have similar stats and graphs, but it's been a phenomenal thing to realize the value of the network and having a nationwide brand to be a part of. So I'm going to talk, and I've already talked a little bit about franchising. Why franchise? I'm not going to answer all that here today, but after 50 years in business, and many times ourselves doing things the hard way, best piece of advice I can give you is a look at franchise programs in the industry, again, like starting on third base. There's a reason why every major successful retail business are mostly franchises. It's really shortcutting 50 years of brain damage that we've done and cutting the chase to get to your desired result. These are a few values and benefits. I won't go into detail, but there's really fun things like centralized services, call centers, economies of scale, usually easier to get financing, higher multiple valuations, and there's many, many more benefits we can talk about later. Franchising is really teamwork, and it's a network again. So what's really special about it is everybody working together. And in a franchise, everybody's rowing the same boat. You might have some feelings here at a show where it's like, boy, everybody's got a different logo on their shirt. It's like we're like trying to piece together what seems to be competitive industry and competitive markets, when in reality, franchising is unifying people under a system and an umbrella, and they become partners. They're business partners, not competitors. And to show that on this chart, satellite graphic picture, the store on the left shown is a corporate-owned Tommy's Express location. 6 miles away, a little over 6 miles away on the same road, is a franchisee-owned franchisee-owned Tommy's Express location. That is not a competitor. We love that. That's our business partner. Together, 1 + 1, we think equals 3. When we have the same brand, we have the same mission, and we're invested together in each other's success, and the club members have a better value proposition when they can wash at multiple locations. So we are really a solution to what I'd say is called territory conflicts, or who's building where, and they're competing with me. This is a system and a network where everybody can be part of one team. I'm going to go into a little bit of our longer version of our history we don't often share, and how we got to where we are, so you can learn from that, and then I'm going to open it up to questions. So our past 50 years of trial and error, starting in 1969, present today a platform and a network in the future is building a global car wash chain. The deeper version of that story, my grandpa and his brother started with a double rollover car wash. They were very successful, and they quickly realized only about 2 years later that rollover wasn't the right model because they couldn't wash cars fast enough. So they converted it into a conveyorized tunnel shortly after. A few lessons we learned from that day and age. The equipment wasn't really very good back then, so they took matters in their own hands always. I think the manufacturer eventually went out of business. A lot of people couldn't keep their stores running, and my dad, my grandfather, and our team always kept the stores running. They'd go out and make parts if they had to, today that became part of our DNA, and creating self-sufficiency on the site level as much as possible, training the team for success, and being able to keep those stores open and operating. And then we evolved into the conveyorized tunnel business, built a few more locations, a lot of them with gas stations and convenience stores in our core model. And our headquarters in Michigan where this all started, and that's another key part of our story, because in Michigan, we get about 100 inches or so of snow a year, and we kind of have a feast or famine type situation. So in the old days before club, you used to wash 0 cars or 10 cars or 20 cars and then 2,000 cars the next day. So we got very good at processing, and my dad was always particular about all the details that allowed even a couple cars an hour wash faster. He put canopies on the entrance of the buildings to transition light from the bright outdoors to a dark interior, and the customer fumbles over that transition. It slows them down, so he put canopies on. Eventually he realized that we could put a clear acrylic roof over the car wash bay, brighten the indoors, and we could get the same effect and wash 5 or 10 cars an hour more. Then we really evolved into the Tommy equipment started in about 2001. It was a mission to create an aesthetically appealing equipment design. Up until that point, car washing was really like an industrial automotive service. There's a lot of zip ties and hoses. And he saw maybe what Starbucks and how we could create more like a retail experience. That's an experience more than just cleaning a car. So he made the arches round and wider, put the clear acrylic roof on, widened the wash bay to be less claustrophobic, aired out, thinned out the miders a little bit, and made this experience that became more of a consumer service instead of an automotive service. So we reinvented the equipment in the 2001s and have done somewhere between, close to 1,000 car washes around the world with Tommy equipment in them. From that, we realized that equipment alone, like I said earlier, doesn't make you successful. We'd put equipment in and they go out to install it and realize this site's going to fail because the civil engineer screwed it up, not because they aren't going to operate it right or whatever else downstream. So we realized that there's a lot more to it, and that the facility of a car wash is part of the machine. The slope coming into the building, where the team members sit. In fact, we have a flight deck program you saw in the video, and we showed that to many people, and it's almost never duplicated. And the architects wrecked it at some point, and they can't figure out why this has to be the way it does, and it all matters. So we created a modular building system called the Tommy Building, and that was really the first time we got facilities perfect, where we said, this is exactly how it needs to lay out. These are our slopes, these are our turn radiuses, this is the proximity we want our team members in. We have an efficient design that could really be scaled, and we call that the Totally Tommy Building. And today we have about 100 of those around the country, owned by independent owners and our independent brands with a building and equipment package. From there, we said it's not good enough. They were much higher success level than equipment only, pieced together, figured out on your own with a local architect situations. But we said, boy, the marketing, we could have room for improvement. The operation processes, we have 50 years experience, 45 years at the time. We can share more of that, we can help more. And that's what really birthed the franchise program. We talk about it like a fighter jet, that you can fly fast, but you really need the pilot's license to get to the peak performance and abilities that it has. So we evolved from the modular building system and an equipment package into Tommy's Express, launched about 2016 as a franchise offering, where we bring everything else into that system of training, marketing, support systems, technology platforms, and suites of things that we could never do in an independent-owned world. And today, that's grown to 110 locations, coast to coast, under the brand Tommy's Express, and by 2030, we will be the McDonald's of car washing. And a little bit of why I have confidence in that, our track record has been pretty good. We have pioneered belt conveyor systems in the early 2000s, the modular construction methods, license plate recognition system, something we really brought to the industry, and then combined it with an app for guest support and ability to interact with that. We reinvented point of sale systems by utilizing cloud technology and bringing it to an iPad so you don't have hardware on site, and then PLC integrated control systems like building controls and unifying the building and the equipment as to a system. And with that, achieved over 200 cars per hour consistent processing speed. Here's a couple more of our success stories. We wash at one of our corporate stores over 600,000 cars a year, the highest volume single tunnel in the world, we believe. 230 cars per hour we've been able to process at top quality, clean, shiny, dry. 3 million plus in revenue. That's not record revenue, that's actually average revenue of our stores, of our matured stores. 2,000 members in 30 days we've achieved, 10,000 member locations, and 500 locations today under contract for development as Tommy's Express. So far, so good. We're very grateful for this journey, and I know many people in the room are part of this family and team. This is 2 graphs of the early days of growth we're pretty excited about, the lower line being McDonald's and the upper line being Tommy's Express. And we hope to maintain that pace and scale development with the helps of people like yourselves. A little bit of what I see in the future. Private equity is now operating car washes. What does that mean? I don't quite know. I'm not prejudging. They have billions of dollars. They have self-interest at stake. They do learn fast. But I do believe an owner-operator, hands-on, the people that get up every day worried about making the car wash better. And that's why I love franchising, because it brings in owner-operator mindset and mentality. So that has room to be determined where that's going to go. Redevelopment, I think, is really the gold today to mine for. This bottom picture is a story of one of our first corporate stores, a flagship facility of Tommy's Express. And on the left is the old car wash that was there. Washed probably 30,000 cars a year, if I had to guess, and then eventually closed and out of business. We bought it closed. We tore down the car wash. We rebuilt a new car wash on the exact same spot. The tunnel sits in the exact same place on that location. And the first full year open, or second full year open, washed 385,000 cars at the same location. And I think today that's really a gem, and it's hard with egos that we go and want to tear down old locations. We're doing it again on one of our own corporate stores I'm proud of, but it's challenging because you have to kind of take the baby down to rebuild it and get set up for the next decade and the next 20 or 30 years to come. Depreciation, as I mentioned earlier, I think is misunderstood. I don't know what the consequences of that are yet, but we'll see. The prices are getting very expensive for existing car washes. Investment, 10x wash increase. What I mean by that is, Richard Enning also in his keynote talked about frequency. And, today you wash your car maybe exterior every 4 days, every 5 days, every 6 days. I'd say is probably the average. Club member stats show that. My personal stats would say probably more in the 5 or 6 days to get the exterior washed. And, what we're going to see in the future is, Richard Enning pointed out, is when you have your own kitchen table at home, you'll leave some crumbs on it. If you're going out to a restaurant, you expect a clean table. And if we ever start riding, which I should say when we start riding in Ubers and Lyfts and Teslas to work or wherever we're going as a third-party owned vehicle, our standards will be much, much higher. And we'll go from an era where we wash 4, 5, or 6 every 6 days, and we let our car slide a little bit and not worry about it. We're going to have much higher standards, and we think 2 to 3 times a day those cars will need to be washed. Now, there will probably be fewer cars on the road, but your standards will change, and the cars will have to be washed almost to the point of between customers, between rides, but it'll probably be more like 2 or 3 times a day to maintain that. So that's what I mean by 10x increase in frequency is very possible to go from every 5 days to 3 times a day. Investment funds are a potential way of the future. We've done a few of those where people can just invest in the industry. If you have any questions about that, I can answer more later, but we're working on making that more ongoing thing where people can get in through investments. One of the other companies in the industry hired somebody that created this statistic of 10,000 conveyorized tunnels today. I think it's a little more than that, but that we need 30,000 to deliver on the potential that I shared with you. And an interesting thought is that if you're building a new car wash today, I'll leave you with this one. If you're financing, you're borrowing money, or maybe you're paying a high multiple to acquire an existing facility, you will be washing self-driving, third-party owned vehicles before your car wash is paid off. So think about that. But you can't solve today's problems with yesterday's technology. So we're trying to be on the front end of the future. You can meet me in booth 1635, Tommy Car Wash, Tommy's Express, and a few of the things we do are a full service platform in terms of equipment, installation, chemistry, point of sale, license plate recognition, the branding, the marketing support, everything under one system that is called Tommy's Express as a franchise. So with that, I can open it up to any great questions that you have. And when we run out of time, we'll come back and afterward or in the booth. Top brushes versus mitters. So again, in our evolution of equipment, engineering, and design, we've used both and we sell both today. You can buy both from us. Why? We spec mitters as our franchise model, which the franchise, one of the blessings of it is, as an equipment manufacturer, is very standardized, everyone's the same. Why do we do that? Because mitters, we believe in our testing, function the same level of cleaning. They cost less to buy up front and they cost less to maintain. And so we have not seen any proven difference in cleaning quality, but the simplicity and the cost of upkeeping is an advantage. So we are 100% standardized on mitters, but we sell top brushes to independent owners. Elon has promised self-driving before the end of this year, where your Tesla can be fully self-driving. We are, I will say it as this, we are prepared and anticipate becoming a platform for that. So we're trying to cater to those high-frequency vehicles with a nationwide network. My vote is the sweet spot's 100% membership. So we do have a technology in our app, and maybe I'll rephrase it. Our app today allows you to pay per wash. So you can get all the benefits, essentially, of a gate that opens before you get to the gate. You don't have to interact with a cashier. I'm a millennial. I like lane 3 app lane instead of going to a cashier window. And I like that the gate opens before I get to it. So we can do that. So today we delineate it a little different as like app users versus non-app users. We have a model that we are prepared to roll out as a no cashier, where it's basically a semi-autonomous car wash. And that will allow an app user to be on a paper wash or an unlimited membership. But if I had my way, they'd all be members. Length of tunnel and amount of tunnels, that is a great question. So our belief, I'll start with the high end of that question. Today, we had a 180-foot tunnel. It was our longest. We built it in 1990. We actually just shortened it to 160. There's advantages to that. It costs less to wash a car in that. There's a few reasons for that. But also the technology's evolved so much that we can wash more cars better today in 130 feet than we could in 180 feet 10 years ago. The main upside of that is the guest experience is actually better. So the longer tunnel is not always, in my generation culture, not necessarily a good thing. It's when's this thing going to be over? I just wanted a clean car. So, we're looking at 130 today as the optimal model for that. We have also a 110. 110, we scale it down, lose a little bit of equipment. It slows the process down. So we can do 230 cars an hour in 130 feet. 110, that's going to drop it down. For those of you that don't understand what I'm talking about, the car wash is like an assembly line. The brushes are like people on the assembly line. The more people you put on the assembly line, the faster you run the conveyor speed. So you turn the conveyor speed up and down. That indicates, it controls how many cars you're going to wash. And then we go down to a 90-foot model. The 110 and the 90 are small towns, big cities where we can't get a lot of land. Or southern climates at times where you have more stable. We look at standard deviation of hourly car counts. In the northern climates, it's very volatile. We'll have hours where we do 220 cars, and then it might be a few hours later that same day where we have 50 cars. When you get to a southern climate, you have a little bit more consistency where you're just washing like 800 cars a day every day versus volatility in northern climates. So. But typically 130 is the standard. 90, we do go down to like a 55-foot model. That's what I was talking about, is the alternative to an in-bay automatic, where we can wash really up to 60, 70 cars an hour in these short tunnels today. So bigger is not necessarily better. Negative guest experience for how long it is. A double tunnel is a nice luxury. We have a model that we really optimize that as a short double tunnel, because when you have a short double tunnel, you can still wash 200 plus cars an hour, and you can do it on a little bit more of a square-shaped lot. So we created a model to cater really to closing bank branches and how we can fit on a more square-shaped lot. To do a long double tunnel, my theory has typically always been to build 2 locations. As you saw, you have locations very close proximity to each other. We would literally probably build one across the street from our own location instead of building a double tunnel. There's a little bit of safety factor in that, owning 2 pieces of dirt, diversifying your investment over 2 different assets for lane changes, pattern. We've had an intersection redone in our hometown that really destroyed a location. So sometimes having 2 stores is a safer bet, and owning 2 pieces of land. So that's our theory on it, but when you get a double short, that really makes sense to process. So things have evolved with the guest experience as well. And I always say the best piece of equipment anybody can have is frequency. And the club memberships really cater to that. And also building on great convenient locations cater to that. So the model has to the equipment package and the speed and everything is a system combined with having a great site, a high membership base, because today you don't want to overwash the car either when somebody's coming through every day, which some people do. So in Europe, it's very different. There's people that don't wash their car but every 6 months. The car washes are far out of town, very hard to get to, and an inconvenience. And the car is so filthy by the time it gets there, the conveyor has to be crawling, and there has to be twice as many brushes and twice as many high pressure pumps, a very costly equipment system, and running very slow. So in terms of lessons of equipment, it starts with sort of a US culture of retail centers being convenient to neighborhoods and homes, and easy out sites where people want to wash frequently, and then you create a wash process that caters to the high speed. So you can judge how good the car washes are in a town by how clean the cars are. If you're driving through and the cars are all filthy, it is a testament to that not really taking care of these people in the city. So some people say, well, you guys wash clean cars. Say, absolutely, we made them. We cleaned them. And we continue to clean them, and we clean them again. And we make it very easy for the consumer to make that decision. So, in terms of equipment, in addition to that, I'll say simplicity. Because again, when you go back to Europe and you have a car that's washed every 6 months and it's inconvenient, and you're washing very slow, you have a lot of mechanics, you have a lot of moving parts, you have a lot of extra brushes. So over the years, we've fought very hard, because I saw people come into the business and they'd build 3 locations, and then they'd get burnt out because by the time their 3rd one got open, they're back working on the 1st one, fixing it, broken and all that. And said, we got to create something that can be stamped out in scale. And that's sometimes making hard decisions where, simplicity of execution, less moving parts, in most cases has had no compromise, okay? But there's times where you have to make hard decisions to say, is this going to get us to a national chain? You're playing a balance of how to become McDonald's, but have the highest quality of food possible at a higher standard, and you have to fight that battle. Because if you do the things like, again, not to dog on Europe, it's just a different experience when people don't wash their car very often, so they have to cater to that. But if you were to take that tunnel and try to do it here, it's so mechanically intense that you're not going to be able to build a lot of locations. So simplicity is key in the system today. Unfortunately, from civil engineering, we have a thing today we call the civil guide, and it's like teach the civil engineer everything they need to know what we care about. We've paid damage claims out for scratched wheels that were scratched on curbs in the parking lot, not from a piece of equipment. And so imagine replacing a $5,000 set of wheels because your curb scratched them. Because again, the fact is that the facility, very few businesses are taking a thing in one end dirty and spitting it out clean out the other end. every part of that facility is part of that process, not just the equipment. So turn radiuses are often an issue. Curbs are a very big issue. If you see black and scratched up curbs, that means somebody's wheel scratched on the other end of that deal. You know, downhill slope into the building, something my dad really pioneered 30 years ago to make loading easier, like landing an airplane. You can see better and you can ride your brake. It's a safer experience. And so we rolled downhill in to actually make the cars wash faster and safer. That is totally counter to what any architect or civil engineer will ever do, because you're running water into a building. And so we've actually had them where somebody in the field will say, that can't be right. Lower that drain down, slope that away from the building. We want water to run away. So all these typical local civils and architects, they're used to building strip malls and restaurants where they go pour a flat floor, there's 4 walls, there's bathrooms over here, there's doors over here. The car wash is not the same. It's taking something in one end, out the other. So our slopes out are as critical as the slopes in. We actually try to mesh the slope to the speed of the conveyor to create the smoothest transition. So if you're a slower moving system because it's 90 feet, your slopes need to be adjusted for that a little bit. So all those kinds of things, you know, kind of play to that experience. Even just water collection at the end, multiple trench drains to collect tire shine runoff so it doesn't go out on the street and run down the road. People have had motorcycles crash on the street in front because of their tire shine. So those types of things are extremely critical to preventative on that. So corporate and franchisees, and that's matured locations. Yeah, so that means they've been open for 3 years, have achieved that level, and we think that's going to continue to grow. Certainly inflation's automatically making that grow, but you know, with prices and stuff changing. But yeah, we think we can, you know, replicate a higher standard of success. It doesn't have to be hit or miss, doesn't have to be pieced together. We took a formula, now we stamp out the formula, and we've seen results much more consistent than they used to be and a much higher standard than they used to be. When you get kind of as much as possible right, it pays dividends, right? So when you get those slopes right, when you get the windows and the flight decks and all those kind of pieces throughout, even the marketing and the training and all that professionalism, what the cashier says at the window matters. Their script, and you tie it all together, you better get a higher result, and we're doing that today. So thank you all for being here, and yeah, you can find me in the booth. So thank you.